This is a tag video. The tag is 10 things you don't know about me. And nobody tagged me, but I wanted to make a tag video. And I thought this was an interesting topic that could get kind of personal. It was kind of hard to think of 10 things, obviously, because there's lots of things you probably don't know about me, but most of them are pretty boring. I obviously wanted to bring something interesting and something that that you would like to know about me. And some of them are kind of personal, but that's okay because I'm an open book, and people who have nothing to hide nothing, and I have nothing to hide about my past or my history or who I am. So, anyways, let's get started. So, the first one is when I dropped out of high school. I didn't graduate high school. I dropped out when it was my junior year, so it was 11th grade. Technically, I was still a sophomore, 10th grader. I didn't have a lot of credits. I was 16, so 11th grade, and I dropped out, and I never went back to high school. I eventually did get my GED, and I did go to college for a little bit, but I didn't graduate high school. And the reason being because like I said, it was my junior year, but I was technically still a sophomore. I wasn't going to be able to graduate on time with my class, which was something I just didn't want to do. I never really was a school person. I was never passionate about school. I never cared about my grades, and that wasn't because I didn't apply myself. It was just because I didn't apply myself to something that I didn't feel like was necessary for my future, for my past. I didn't care about it. I wasn't going to take the time to do my homework or to read or to learn because I just didn't care about it. And those basically was just math and science were the two things I didn't care about. English and history are two subjects I liked, so I usually did good in those, but every year I would always fail math and science, and then other classes too because I just didn't care. So I was 16 and I dropped out. So I never went to prom, I never graduated, I never, did a lot of the things that you do when, that you're supposed to do that are like rites of passage when you're young. But it's okay because when I did drop out, I started working like immediately, which eventually led me to realizing that I wanted to be a stylist and that I, was good at what I did and whatever. So I don't regret dropping out. I wouldn't change what happened because if that wouldn't have happened, then who knows what the trajectory of my life would have been and where I would be now if I had dropped out and experienced what I experienced with work and whatnot. So that number one, dropping out of high school when I was 16, leads me into my number two, which is I've only ever had one boyfriend in my entire life, and I'm 21, so I've only had one boyfriend, and that was my boyfriend when I was 16. And being with him definitely played a really big part in my dropping out of school because he was my first boyfriend. We were both 16, and we were both each other's first boyfriends, first love. He's the only person who I've ever loved. He was my only boyfriend. He was my first love, and we just really gave each other our all and didn't really care about anybody else, friends, family, school, nothing else. Our priorities were each other. So that definitely played a big part in why I failed all my classes that year when I did drop out because we never went to school. We skipped school like every day. If we didn't skip school, then we were like late to school. We just really only cared about each other. So that's part of the reason why I dropped out of school. And yeah, so I've never had a boyfriend other than him. There's been other guys in my life that I've dated for a long time, that I've talked to, that I've had, good relationships with, but never were official. Part of it's because I haven't found anybody who, just is right. And the other part of it is just because I'm really strict about putting that title on somebody because of my experience with my ex-boyfriend when I was 16, and how it ended. I would never jump into something else that didn't feel really, really, really right, like we were supposed to be together. All these guys that come around, they're just, they're cute, or, some things are good enough, but not everything's what I want. I'm not going to waste my time and make that something serious. I'll date you, and I'll talk to you, and I'll spend time with you, but calling you my boyfriend is a really big deal to me, so that's why I have never had a boyfriend, except for one when I was 16. And so that number two leads me into number three, which is also when I was 16, I got arrested and I went to jail. I won't get into the details about what happened or why I went to jail. I'll tell you I got into an altercation. I got into a fight with somebody. I got real crazy, and the cops were called, and I was arrested, and I went to jail. I was 16 years old, so I didn't go to regular jail, I went to a place called the RYDC, which is Regional Youth Detention Center, the Metro RYDC in Atlanta. And I got arrested. I went to the precinct. I got like mugshot. I got fingerprints. I got cavity search, the whole nine. I got, given like a jumpsuit, and I spent the night in jail. I woke up the next morning because I was 16. They have like school and you go to like class. I went to that. I had breakfast. Then eventually, I went to court that day, and it was really. I was handcuffed. I was shackled in my feet, and I had to like scurry because I was all chained up, like I was like some crazy criminal. And I went to court, and then eventually my parents got me out. And it was fine. I was on probation for a little bit, and I had to go to like classes, like anger management classes and personal development classes. But yeah, so I went to jail. It wasn't that big of a deal. I didn't cry really I didn't cry at all the whole time because I wasn't really scared. It was just something that happened when I was young. When I was 16, 16 was a very tumultuous year in my life. It was probably the craziest year of my life, being that I jumped out of school, I had my first love, I got arrested. There's a lot of things happened in that year, and I grew a lot from that kind of experience. So that leads me into number 4, which is I have a really big tattoo on my torso right here, my left torso, of a phoenix bird. And I got that tattoo on my 18th birthday. And what it kind of symbolized for me was I was watching a show called Degrassi, which some of you might know. There was an episode where Darcy, who is Sinead Grimes' character, had went to like a camp to like kind of, she was really bad and she like had to go like a boot camp type thing. But it was more of like a spiritual boot camp, not like a physical boot camp type thing. And they had asked people questions about what animal they would call themselves if they could call themselves any animal. And they asked Darcy that question, and she said that she would be a phoenix. And then they asked her why, and she explained kind of the meaning of what a phoenix bird represents. And she was like, because, a phoenix was one way, and then they kill themselves and rise from their ashes and become a whole new bird. And they kind of, when she said that, it kind of just resonated with me at once. And I had never thought of the idea of getting the tattoo of a phoenix before. But when she said that to me, I really realized that was kind of the place that I was in my life, being that when I was 16, I was crazy and I was really bad, and I, went through a lot of stuff. And by 17 and by the time 18 came around, I felt like a brand new person. I felt like I had learned from all my experiences. I grew. I wasn't the same, and that I had, killed myself in flames, and then became ashes, and then rose from my ashes to become a brand new person who's better and smarter and wiser than I was before. And that kind of symbolism of a phoenix still is true with me all the time. I always look at it in the mirror, and it always reminds myself that I'm not my past, that I could be reborn over and over again as a better person, as a different person, as a new person, and that, my past experiences don't have to define me as a person for who I am today. So I know a lot of you are probably going to ask to see it, but I don't feel like, whatever, I'll just show you. Okay. This is what it looks like. If you could see it. And it goes like down my hip, whatever. So, that's what it looks like. I hope you could see it because I don't know if you could, but hopefully you could. Okay, so that was number 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5 is I have 4 best friends, which isn't really that interesting or personal, but I have 4 best friends who I've known for about 10, 11, or 12 years. We're all really close friends. Not all 5 of us, 4 and then 5 including me, are best friends. But they're all my best friends, but some of them aren't each other's best friends, if you know what I mean. But all of us are friends to some extent. And they're kind of my rock, my foundation, my everything. They're my family. They're my brothers, my sisters. I love them, to no end. I love them as if I've known them my whole entire life. I've known them almost half my life, and that's a lot for me, only being, like 21 years old. Most people, I don't think most people have relationships like I do with them. I definitely feel very blessed, and I appreciate them being in my life very much. And I don't know who I would be or how I would be or what I would know if they were in my life. So I love them dearly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number 6 also isn't that interesting, but I hate airplanes so much. They're like my biggest fear. I wouldn't say I'm scared of them because I do ride them. I do go on airplanes because I have to, but I really hate them. And if an airplane was ever to like fall, like I would die before I hit the ground because of how scared I would be. Like I hate airplanes so much. Every time there's a little bit of turbulence, my palms start sweating. Like I close my eyes, I start praying. I can't do it. I hate airplanes so much. So it's crazy. Um, Number six, getting kind of personal, is I don't really enjoy having sex that often. And that I think really stems from number seven for me, which number seven is I lost my virginity when I was very young. I was in middle school. Um, and everybody kind of that I've been intimate with and had sex with since then, like I said before, I've only had one boyfriend. So out of all the people I've had sex with, only one of them has been my boyfriend. So obviously that kind of says for itself that I haven't really cared about a lot of the people that I've had sex with. I mean, I have cared about some of them to some extent, but there's only ever been one that I loved, which was my boyfriend, which sex doesn't really mean this, it doesn't really mean anything when you don't care about the person, and everybody knows that, a lot of people feel that way about sex. So I don't really enjoy having it that often. I don't know that I have really enjoyed it, but with maybe two or three people that I've had sex with. Sometimes I do have sex and I don't regret it when it's over, but I know that it just was nothing. It was just a physical thing. And I'm really not that kind of guy. I mean, sometimes, who doesn't have hormones that rage sometimes and you just want to get it in. But for the most part, I can kind of withhold from having sex unless I find somebody who I care about. So that was number six. And number seven was I lost my virginity when I was very young, which I already said. And then the next two are kind of lame, kind of shit topics, but whatever. I couldn't think of anything else. It was really hard. I lost, six, seven, eight, nine. Okay, so nine is, I had braces for like 5 years. I got them when I was in 5th grade, and I got them taken off I got them at the end of my 5th grade year, and I got them taken off my beginning of my junior year of high school. So I had them 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, and a little bit of 11th grade before I dropped out. And it wasn't that my teeth were that messed up. The reason I had them so long was because I never wore my bands, and I didn't wear like the retainer. I just never listened to the orthodontist. So every time I'd go get a checkup, they'd have to say, well, you didn't do what you were supposed to do last time, so we have to wait again for you to do it. And I just would never do it. So the process just kept getting prolonged until eventually I told them, I was like, listen, I'm not going to wear those bands. They're so ugly. So take these braces off of me, or we're just going to keep doing this forever. And they listened to me, and they took them off, and my teeth are fine. They never moved. I have a perfect smile. Yay. So I was just so ready to get them off. And now I have really got nice teeth. And then the last one is, I have never really been hurt before. I've only had surgery one time, and that surgery was, take a guess, on my toe. So it's really lame. I had an ingrown toenail when I was in like 8th grade, and I had to get surgery on it. I had to wear like a flip-flop on one foot for like ever because it would like hurt so bad to put pressure on it, or to have it like inside of a shoe and have something like on top of my toe. It just hurt so bad. So I had to wear like a flip-flop on one of my feet for like a month, and then eventually I got surgery on it. And that's the only surgery I ever had, and really the only injury I've ever had. I've never broken a bone or sprained anything or fractured anything. I'm really safe because I'm not that physically active, so I really don't get hurt that much. So I think that was 10. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to know me a little bit more. And if you have any questions about any of the things I talked about, feel free to, you can Facebook message me, you can email me, or you could just leave a comment down below. And I'll answer you as soon as possible. So until next time, follow me on Twitter, check out my blog, Facebook, the whole nine, and I'll talk to you all later.